Hello, everyone, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison, and this is Maintaining Frame number 137, How to Smash the Patriarchy to Music.
Or the beat.
Or the beat, yes.
Feminist dubstep.
Yeah, well, it's just feminist whale music. It's just the same old... It's like,
okay.
It just sounds like every song now that a woman does. They all sound the same to me. So, but
that kind of whispering, wailing kind of quality.
Yeah, it's like that breathy, waily, like yeah, that stuff.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah. What the heck? Okay, good.
That was too much of that. That actually sounds better. That's a cat cover of a Billie Eilish song that
so that actually
that's a real song, but it's just a cat cover of it, and it was on the Barbie soundtrack. And when women on TikTok and social media wanted to, emote their fifis when they were sad or lonely or felt oppressed, they would cry over that music and put words on the screen. Not kidding. That is the absolute state of music right now. But we're going to be looking at this video from a channel called Beth Roars, and I suppose Beth Roars does music reviews, or she's a musicologist, or whatever they call people who are music scientists now. And she's reacting to a song called Labor, I'm not kidding, by Paris Paloma, who I've never heard of. I have officially become a fossil. Like, I used to try to keep up with the latest music trends, and I listened to bands all the way through the 2010s. And then I just, music is so bad now, I just stopped caring. So it's all fallen behind me. Bring back Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. Anyway. I think that would probably traumatize people today.
Yeah.
By the way, that song you played, my cat really resonated with it, and now
really?
she is yowling her little heart out because she only got 2 cans of cat food today, and she obviously deserves 4, and she's oppressed. She's oppressed by the humanarchy.
Yeah.
There she is. She's gonna make her opinion known. Okay. All right. So what did you? So that's well, I guess let's just get right into it. Let's just do it.
Sure. Do you want to do any things before we do this?
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I would do the things, except I still don't have the monthly fundraiser up.
Well, you could just do the thing for Super Chows.
All right. So if you would like to send us a tip, and with that tip, a comment, which is the very best way to send us a tip, and probably the best way for you to send us a comment, go to feedthebadger.com/justthetip and throw a few shekels in the hat, and very much appreciated. And we will read your comment, and it also sort of hang out in the Discord for other people to discuss as well and to cogitate upon. So let's get to the first time code. I am not looking forward to this.
Yeah,
I feel like it's going to exhaust my cringe gland.
Yeah. All right. Let me look at what I think we should see the intro. It's not a long video. It's only 8 minutes. But she's going to talk about the song, and let's just listen to the first couple of half a minute so we can get a feel for what this is going to be like.
It's the lyrics. I was sitting in my producer's studio, and he was working on another artist's music that he was helping her work on a live version of it, and played a little bit to me, and it was this song, and apparently it had already gone viral on TikTok. Wait, still do listen. This is a great song. It is so powerful, and there is a reason that it went viral.
You see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? Like all music almost sounds like this now. It's like, exactly this one, whoever this is, she's gonna get a job where she's going to do a breathy cover of a very popular song from the 80s or 90s, but it's going to be slowed down with a lot of like distortions, and it's going to have like you know what I'm like, this is like a thing that they do for all like new modern TV shows and movies. They just take an old song like Sweet Dreams or Tainted Love or something like that, and then they sing it really slow, and they have like some woman do it, and she's vocally frying all the way through. It's I could like make $1 million. Like I can find a song and say, okay, let's get a woman to cover this. I'm sorry, I'm a little caffeinated. Let's get a woman to cover this and just like vocal fry all the way through it, and then we'll auto tune it, and I'll be rich. I swear. Yeah, I just played like 30 seconds, so we'll be careful.
And you could also just get a really good filter, and you could be the
Yeah, Allison, you dropped. Your audio cut out or something. I can't hear you. You got to fix it. There you go. Yeah.
She's making it.
You're breaking up again. Yeah, it basically makes it sound like everything you've heard before, but it is supposedly a new song that's viral. And Allison dropped out of the call at the whim of the cat. All right. Don't forget the segue into ancient Rome. Remove the cat. Yeah, now Allison's completely gone. I don't know.
Sorry. What? Okay, this is the fly in the ointment. She is the source of the technical difficulties. I'll put her in the other room.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Let's
listen.
Let's listen to some more.
So defeated.
This was an escape plan. Carefully timed it, so let me go and dive into the waves below.
All right. So she's resonating with the lyrics, but I can barely make them out. Can you make them out? I went and looked them up to help us out here.
Yeah,
you want me to read the lyrics to you?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. It's just going to become a discussion of the lyrics.
Yeah, verse 1, which we just heard, she says, "Why are you hanging on so tight to the rope that I'm hanging from off this island? This was an escape plan. This was an escape plan. Carefully timed it. So let me go and dive into the waves below." Deep. Okay. So let's listen to some more.
Who turns the orchards? Who fixes up the gables? Emotional torture from the head of your high table. Who fetches the water?
All right, so I'll read that again. Who tends the orchards? Who fixes up the gables? Emotional torture from the head of your high table.
All right. Well, the person who most likely fixed the gables was potentially the groundskeeper, who would have been a man. The person who likely tended the orchard was probably an orchardist, also likely to be a man. So essentially, this song is stolen valor.
Yeah. And even on top of that, like, she has to make a reference to, like, ancient times in order to make this point. Like, it's look, I don't know. I think that any woman who finds this relatable is just engaging in cope at this point. Like, I'm sorry, but you're not oppressed. You're not like you are not experiencing any form of labor, much less emotional labor. And I have no sympathy. I really don't care, Margaret, is basically my response to that. I really don't care. I'm going to get a pipe. I'm going to start smoking a pipe, I think.
I don't care, Margaret.
Just so I can hold it in my hand.
I don't like that. First of all, if she was the lady of the manor, she probably wouldn't be setting the table. She'd be
Yeah, well,
directing a small army of household staff.
unless they were living like they didn't have servants and stuff, in which
Then they
case
probably
he's
wouldn't have silverware or
right,
glassware. Like
right,
this is
right.
this is what's I mean, they construct this fiction about history, this absolute fiction about history, and then they lay in front of it and pretend they're a victim of it. And yes, there was a comment a couple days ago about a woman who was saying, we were oppressed in the medieval times. And it's like, okay, so you are now a gestalt with every woman that's ever lived. Miss me with that
Yeah,
shit.
and men, by the way,
And
because like men
yeah.
were also oppressed in medieval times. If there was a class of people who were, who were probably considered lower class. I don't even know if that means oppression, to be honest. I mean, life was hard for everybody. The
Yeah.
poorest people today have it better than kings of old.
Yeah, it's like
So,
in the that's the truth. Like
mhm.
the guy at the head of the table, probably a couple of his brothers died in war to have that
Yeah,
table and that
yeah.
land. But of course we don't. This is just it's defeating, honestly. When I listen to this, when I see how upvoted it gets and how much is invested in this mentality, this distortion of history, and also this distortion of women's situation currently. It's just like I definitely find it depressing. I suppose that's not a really helpful thing to say.
I think that women do this like I don't know, maybe what they want is to feel safe and loved, and they don't. And so they lash out at men in the abstract, and their I don't know, way of trying to take control of their situation without actually like getting off their ass and doing something with their life is to listen to music and say, "Oh, I so relate to that," and then share that with other women online through social media, at least in today's day and age. And then other women see that, and they also, it's like this, you haven't watched it yet, Allison, but in Midsummer, there's a scene that was extremely striking of one woman experiencing pain, and this cult, they have all these other women come around her and they all cry with her, even though they're not experiencing the pain that she's experiencing. They're just crying together, like some kind of, like collective blob of sadness and agony. And she is made more upset by that, but also felt more connected to those women, even though they didn't have the experiences she had. And as a man, I just don't get it. So I'm on the outside looking, and I'm just like, you guys look absolutely insane. But I think this is what women do. They like with well, whatever happens to be going on, right? Like with the whole like, your body, my choice, right? Women
Mhm.
who probably will never actually have to confront any of the consequences of that, because I would imagine that they would be somewhat careful with their, with their fertility, but they really wanted to be a part of this sisterhood thing that was going on. So they went on social media and they started crying, or they started making, pretending to be Katniss Everdeen, from Hunger Games, and like fighting the patriarchy, but they aren't going to do anything. It's just cope. That's what I think. It's fine. Like I'll laugh at it because I think it's just cope. And
Well, yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely cope. Because
yeah,
despite being the most oppressed group of people throughout all of human history, in every single epoch of history, women have never made much of an effort to get out of their oppression.
mm-hmm.
Like slaves had the Underground Railroad. They, in some cases, appealed to third parties like the North to end slavery. Spartacus led a slave rebellion. The Jews had the promised land they went through hell to get to. And what have women done?
Right. I mean,
They
in
created
particular,
feminism, which just appeals to
yeah,
men more.
yeah.
I mean, it is not very appealing. I'm not saying that feminism is very appealing, but all at the end of the day, feminists have as a solution to their problems is to continue to ask men for more stuff, the very people who they say would never give them a thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and no, that is not the behavior of any oppressed group of people throughout history. no oppressed group of people directly asked the people who oppressed them for clemency or consideration. They had to build real power. They had to build financial power. They had to build connections with other parties that had a vested interest in destroying their oppressors to actually get anywhere. Or they had to pick up a sword. Or they had to flee into the desert and go to a place where nobody wanted the land and just eke out a living, right? But not women.
Yeah.
Most
but God forbid,
least
God forbid,
motivated to do anything about it.
Yeah, God forbid a man put food on the table and the woman like cook it. Like, I mean, that's kind of like this, like, okay, I don't know. But again, I think this is just, oh, by the way, because this woman doesn't really go too deep into the politics of it. I mean, she does say this is like a feminist anthem and shit like that. But I decided to see what feminists on Reddit were saying about it. And I found a post, so we could read through it. It's Are Witches versus Patriarchy? Yes, a real place on the internet. And they have opinions too. So, but do you want to listen to more of this, or do you want me to read that Reddit?
Let's
thing?
save the Reddit for after. Like, let's
Yeah.
move through the cringe in order
All right.
of receiving it.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's listen to some of this then.
From the Rocky Mountain spring and walk back down again to feel your words and your sharp sting.
I'm gonna let it run through the chorus.
I'm getting fucking tired.
Okay, the beat drops, but let me just read more of the lyrics so you know what she said, because you can barely hear it, because it's breathy and like faint, and I don't know. I just don't vibe with it. Emotional torture from the head of your high table, who fetches the water from the Rocky Mountain spring,
Not you.
and walk back down again to feel your words and their sharp sting. And I'm getting fucking tired. Ooh, she dropped an F-bomb, guys. She really means it. So I don't know. Those
What
are the
are you all
lyrics.
fighting against? And why are
Yeah.
you so ineffectual at it? Like, women have had how much power, how much spending power, how much discretionary income, how much access to land, and all you've freaking done is sit and whine. Like, every other oppressed people throughout history would give their eye teeth for your ability to create a world that doesn't oppress you, and yet you haven't done it. I'm calling your bluff. I'm
Yep.
calling your bluff. Right? The reason why you aren't walking away is there's nothing to walk away from.
Yep.
All right. Let's
All right. Let's listen to more of the. Now she's getting into the chorus, which of course this chick is vibing with big time.
I love the high.
All right. So the lyric is, just so you know, the capillaries in my eyes are bursting. If our love died, would that be the worst thing? For somebody I thought was my savior, you sure make me do a whole lot of labor. That's what she's saying. Again.
Are you realize that life is work, right?
Yeah. What do you think life is supposed to be? Life is suffering.
Yeah, like,
go ahead.
You have to do, like, there's no way around it. Do you think that the creatures in the field don't actually have to make an effort to exist? It makes you do a lot of labor. And this is your big oppression. Okay, so why was your big freedom doing labor in jobs? Like, this is the thing. Like, you setting aside the absolute bullshit that this is historically, you were freed to labor in a job, right? You were freed from homemaking, which in the 50s, as I've said multiple times, went from something that was 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, to about 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. So it was a part-time job because of all of the labor-saving devices that men invented and your husband would have bought for you because he prioritized your free time. All right. You were free. from labor for the first time in human history. And again, women have never forgiven men for that.
Mm-hmm.
They have never forgiven men for that. They called it a prison. Like, who knew, guys? You know, you build a home, you invest all kinds of labor-saving devices, you turn your wife's job from something that, you know, permanently swells her knuckles up so that she looks like a backstreet brawler because she has to constantly go out in the freezing cold to beat up freaking laundry. You know, she has to do her own wood chopping to get heat. She has to make tallow candles if you want lighting. She has to can, and if there is canning, she has to preserve all the food. You take that job that probably took a 19-year-old girl, and by the time she hit 25, she looked like she was in her 50s. You took all of that. You removed it from her life. You gave her a safe place with indoor plumbing, heating, lighting, access to the world's knowledge, ovens, laundry,
Running water, electricity,
washing machines, refrigerator, all of that. This to absolutely completely remove almost all of the labor of a home, to the point where men could actually live without a housekeeper now. That's the other thing that we don't talk about. Before, men would need a housekeeper because a house had to be kept. It wasn't something that you couldn't batch in the past. But anyway, you did all of that, gave it to your wives. 2 generations later, you still haven't heard the end of how horrible you were. Honestly, if we could go back in time, the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, I would tell men, do not make the washing machine. Do not make the dishwasher. Do not make the oven. Do not make the refrigerator. Let them continue to labor because they won't appreciate it.
Yep. Well, that, you know, yeah, like I was saying, they're just cosplaying victimhood. Like, it's their favorite thing to do because it gets them. Most of this is not for men. This is for other women. They're trying to get in the good graces of, let's say, you know, socially hostile women that will shame them and condemn them and alienate them and turn other women against them. And social media, which is Call of Duty for women, is the battlefield under which that happens. So when women dress up as ketchup bottles to protest The Handmaid's Tale, they're mostly doing that so other women see them doing it. When Selena Gomez cries on camera about, like, the, you know, her people being deported, she's not doing that because she actually cares about those people, because otherwise she'd give them one of her 4 mansions. She's doing that so that other women see her doing that. And so she's like, look at me, I'm one of the good ones. It's literally the male feminist does the same thing for women's appeal, right? And these women, they're cosplaying victimhood. They're not actually in danger. They know that they're not in danger. They know that they can safely protest because men won't actually do the thing to them that they claim that they're afraid of men doing to them. It won't happen. So,
well, men won't even tell them to shut the hell up. This is bullshit.
Yeah, men won't even make them shut up, right?
Well, I guess men and Pearl are starting to do that.
Yeah, they are. But then, like, the women, I think the reason why they're hostile towards, you know, like the men who call them out or women like Pearl, is because they're afraid that this, you know, they're not afraid. It's another opportunity to double down on that fake victimhood, that cosplay. So that's what I think. Anyway,
about this. I was thinking about the mentality behind all of this, and I actually have had a sort of a close brush with a woman who very much embodies this kind of mentality. And it occurred to me, listening to her and listening to chaos she sowed around her, that she doesn't perceive that she exists unless she's a victim. So it's like she permanently lives in a state of darkness, just complete empty darkness. Like, she screams and nobody hears. She moves around, nothing really changes. You know, it just complete void. And then there's these moments where she can light a match and she has a little bit of heat and warmth, and it's when she's a victim. And that's this mentality. This is the lives they live, these women. The only time they exist, they have a little bit of heat and light and warmth in their lives, is when they're a victim. Nothing else of them exists because they disavow it. I mean, if you make a choice and it has a negative consequence, well, that was the patriarchy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if you make a choice, the positive consequence, then really that's still the patriarchy, because the patriarchy didn't intervene to make you make the negative choice, right? So everything of you that exists outside of simply receiving the actions of others doesn't exist. You imagine that, Brian? Imagine waking up one day and you can recognize none of the consequences of your actions. And the only time you exist as a person is when you perceive, or you can perform victimhood.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine living like that.
No, I can't. No.
Well, I can imagine living like that because I got a great imagination, and I can tell you it fucking sucks.
Yeah, I bet.
And as much as I've dealt with to oppose that attitude and that way, that enforcing that mentality on women, and I have gone through a lot of shit over the years, you know, and I'm finding out more and more why. Apparently, we're on multiple lists, but regardless, no matter what happens, I would rather live with this kind of, I don't know if I want to call it prosecution, but, you know, basically just rough waters, shall we say. I would rather live through the suffering that I have than live as that. Ugh.
I mean, it's not real victim. It's like porn for them.
No, but
That's
it's
all.
like, I know it's just like porn for them, but you got to realize, imagine you don't exist until you're a victim, or you can perceive perform. Think of all that you lose, Brian. I mean, I can see it.
I get it.
You would basically lose all of the worth of your life. That's the life they live. That's the life this woman is living. I mean, we think, oh wow, she's just she's enjoying being a victim. She only exists when she is a victim. Like, she has nothing else. And this is what I've been seeing. I mean, some of them, I suppose, have a few perception, like a dim perception that their actions, that they also exist as actions in the greater world. But when I was, like I said, when I observed one of them up close, I realized that there is nothing in her life but victimhood.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. No strategy for herself as a person except victimhood. It's like a life without color or light. And it's why they're becoming they're in a death spiral in which they're becoming increasingly miserable. Like, it's accelerating. The misery of these women is accelerating. And it's I don't want to say it's sad, because Karen would say they have made their bed, they lie in it. But it's certainly nothing that I would want for myself.
Pathetic is the word that comes to mind for me. And I think that
they're missing out on so much.
Yeah, right.
They're missing out on existence.
I wonder if they believe somewhere in their mind that they don't deserve to, like, be happy. Like, they don't deserve good things to come into their life. So they just wallow in their victimhood it's like, at least I'm being seen this way kind of a thing. And that's not me saying that out of sympathy. I just think it's pathetic. And, they're adults. So,
yeah, I mean, at some point you have to accept the choices that you've made.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, good God, girl, I would
absolutely
not live that life. Okay, let's move on.
Let's listen to more of the song.
I opted. It has become an anthem for young women, for feminism, and looking at women's role in the world throughout history. And you really...
Okay, let me read the last of those lyrics in case you didn't understand them.
You make me do too much labor?
Yeah, okay, so it's like the capillaries in my eyes are bursting. If our love died, would that be the worst thing? For somebody I thought was my savior, You sure make me do a whole lot of labor. The callous skin on my hands is cracking. If our love ends, would that be a bad thing? And the silence haunts our bedchamber. You make me do too much labor. Why does the silence haunt your bedchamber? You're not putting out? And he's getting like
he's not
you're
interested.
or yeah, or you seem to be creating your own problems, and you, instead of like figuring out solutions, you just sort of like you just, oh my God, it's so hard. Why are you being so awful a husband? I'm not doing anything to make things better. I'm not even asking questions. I'm not trying to communicate. I'm just over here with callous hands, because obviously I'm not an actor in my own life. So yeah, this is an anthem of feminism. I guess
Well,
you're right.
Why don't you invent stuff to reduce your labor?
Yeah.
Oh shit, men had to do that. Good grief. Yeah, all that freedom that women had in the 50s, starting the 40s, 50s, 60s, all that freedom. And this is what they constructed. They could have used their free time to invent new forms of art or philosophy or mathematics, because they were not excluded from libraries. Instead,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
All right. So this is for feminism.
You see it in the music video as well here. I think the lyrics are very visceral and very understandable and very strong. I love all the alliteration in it, calloused hands cracking, things like that. They're very, very onomatopoeic. You really, really can live within that imagery, which is really, really beautiful. How she uses her...
What is wrong with women? Why? Like, I don't get it. Like, I love music. And I've heard some great lyrics, but I've never sat there and said, oh my God, my soul is entering the body of the guy singing this song. I'm just like, yeah, that's catchy. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. Like, it's like they want to like mind meld with people, like they want to feel their pain. Like that's what their desire. I don't know. It just, it just makes me cringe. It just makes me cringe.
I'm still confused by the logic. Who do you expect to do the labor?
No, I mean they don't. Like it's
I'm sure what he's talking about
women's idea of rights comes down to something that they really don't want, but they think they want, which is ultimate comfort. And they want men to essentially be their arms and legs and do everything to maximize their comfort and their desires. And the desires of every person is bottomless, but they don't care. That's why when you ask feminism about like, well, what rights do men have that women don't? And they'll bring up some bullshit like, free this or this kind of service or this kind of basically men's labor, right? Like I want to be able to walk home in the middle of the night and feel safe. Well, what does that require? Well, it requires good men to do everything in their power to make sure that you're safe so that you live in a bubble where you don't even know that there's like threats out there in the world, right?
Well,
or if you, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, of course, they argue that the reason why they're unsafe is men. So why can't men stop criminal men? And it's like, well,
yeah, they have to appeal to patriarchy to fight patriarchy. Yeah.
Like women are manufacturing criminal men. Where do they come from? Single mother homes. Mm-hmm. Where do male rapists often come from? Sexual abuse by women. I'm not saying that the women they abuse are responsible, but if we want to actually get rid of male criminals, we have to address the harms that are done by mothers to sons. And we're not prepared to do that. Right? And because we're not prepared to do that, we have to employ men at the end of the cycle to try to control the violence of these other men. Right. And again, like there's also like genetic components. Mm-hmm. It's just not something that men can control consciously. They cannot change the existence of criminal men because there are genetic markers for antisocial personality disorder. There always will be, unless we breed it out through eugenics. And there will always be a small percentage of abused boys who go on to lash out at the world. How do we deal with this? Well, we take the men who don't have these deficits and we waste their lives on managing them for the benefit of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that is the existence of the criminals is evidence of men's nature rather than all of the men who prevent the criminals. And when they do engage in these kinds of activities, punish and put them away. Those men they don't reflect men's nature. All right. So let's sorry for
Yeah, it's
interrupting.
okay. I got another. No, it's okay. I got a super chat. Let me just check to make sure we didn't miss any super chats. No, we didn't. From Albatross, who gives us $5 and says, one of the lyrics was something like, I thought you were my savior, but you make me do labor. You were a feminist, but you dependent on a guy rescuing you. Well, I mean, like, yes, but the ultimate goal of this is another one of these kind of anti-relationship, anti-male things where it's like, oh, I don't need you. You make my life harder for no reason, so I'm going to leave you now. But like, no,
it's a good point though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously, that's like at the root of it is we want men to do our bidding and not expect anything in return. That like almost all of this boils down to the same dynamic. Right?
Yeah.
Like when you're dating, when you look at those dating interviews and the guy and the the man on the street is asking the woman, like, what do you expect from a man? And they'll list off all of the things that they want. But then when they say, well, what do you bring to the table? And then she'll be, well, my presence, it's me, I'm here. And so like that, you can just expand that. And it's the same when feminists say this is what we expect. And we don't want to be doing, like, we don't want to do labor, but we have expectations. It's the same thing. You can go back to Manifestel, who always says what? Men are labor and men are risk. What does that mean? Well, I don't want to do stuff for dudes. And I also think they're dangerous. So like, what does that mean? Well, you're not going to be able to commit. Like you're basically saying there are no good men. So I'm just going to not breed and I'm going to die alone. And I mean, like, I know women don't want that, but that's the attitude they have right now. And then inevitably they get like up to their 30s and they're putting up videos on TikTok from their car saying, where are all the good men? Whereas the good men have
with good women
probably found good women. Yes. So, it's what it starts with humility, and these people don't have it.
Well, and here's the thing. It's not the truth. Okay. Mm-hmm. All relationships are risk and all relationships are work. And in fact, when women end up dating other women, they discover that other women are more risk and more labor than men. Okay. And I mean, I remember that. I don't know. Did you bring up this anecdote? There was a female doctor who ended up, pursuing a relationship with a woman, and the woman made less than her. And because she made less than her, she automatically assumed the female doctor would foot the bill for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she even, amazingly, she even treated this woman much like a man. She would say, well, you make more, my time is more valuable. So you have to, you should be the one who's paying. And stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, you're getting the male experience. Men are expected to do the labor in courtship. And then for some reason, we think that the gender that expects to have the labor done in courtship isn't going to resent doing the labor necessary to build a life with another person. This is what's really funny about it all. Like suddenly we're supposed to believe that women who expect to be served in courtship, when they get into a relationship, set that aside and become the hard, done-by partner who's doing all the work. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think that what's really happening is you go from a courtship where a man is doing literally everything. Don't do that, guys, by the way. Don't. Because the honest to God truth is you do literally everything in a courtship and she has no sense of reciprocity. As soon as the necessary work of a relationship starts or building a life starts, out the door like a rat out of the aqueduct. She's going to be starting to stalk her ex, right? So don't even play by those rules. But regardless, as soon as the woman hits the work necessary to build a life, and she has experienced throughout the courtship not having to pull her own weight, what does she do? She starts to think that she's being taken advantage of.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the thing. Courtship is to demonstrate at most that a man will provide for you when you are incapable of providing for yourself, which is taking care of children, gestation, lactation, taking care of young children. It's not in order to show that the man is going to haul your ass from A to Z for the rest of your freaking life. And that's what this song is about. It's about a woman who doesn't want to lift her own fucking head. She gets no sense of pride, no sense of self from doing for herself. None whatsoever. All she gets it from is victimhood and getting other people to do things for her. And it's sad, and you cannot have a relationship with someone like that. I hate saying this, but wait for AI and relationship bots. I'm going to call them girlfriend bots, because it's not sex bots at this point. It's someone who can at least emulate a sense of gratitude, fair play, and reciprocity. All right, I'm done my little rant. So let's keep going.
Let's play some more.
Her voice is really interesting. I'm going to go and scoot back to the first verse. I think she's probably kind of a mezzo alto singer, and she's bringing her head voice down really low, so it's good to like.
Okay, so she talks a little bit about the music science or whatever. I don't know if that's as interesting. 250. I guess there might be more on feminism here, but there isn't a lot.
26 seconds in.
And dive into the waves below. Who turns the orchard?
The orchard. It's quite hard for me to stay in head voice that low. Who tends the orchard would be an easier thing for me to do as a slightly higher voice. It sounds like someone who has sat by herself in her room and sung with her guitar, not too loud so people can't hear next door. And it means that then she's mic'd it really, really close, and you get all the sounds of her mouth and the movement. It's very precise, very small. And then when we get into this chorus, let's have a look. There's a big.
All right, I'm pausing it there for the banana. I got a super chat. A Rumble rant from NovaFan21, who says, "I hope these insufferable women get even more insufferable and then get surprised when men refuse to put up with them. They would ironically create their own Handmaid's Tale." Well, yeah, I mean, that's been going on for a while. There are ways that women take themselves out of the dating pool, and it's usually because they're delusional. I don't know what else to say. They're delusional about, like, the way, first of all, they don't treat men like human beings with their own flaws. What was that?
That was me.
Oh, you sounded really weird for a second there.
Okay, sorry about that. I was just fixing my moving things around here, in my little nest of wires.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, yeah, that's the unrealistic thing is they want to, like, have a man crawl into their skin and live their life for them. It's like, that's not what a man is for. It's for companionship. It's to have an extra pair of hands when you need something done. It's to build a life together. It's not to totally take over the entirety of your agency and breathe for you. He makes me do too much labor. He doesn't breathe for me. He doesn't shit for me.
Right. Women have been liberated right out of, like, reality. Like, they can't even perceive what they're so liberated. They don't even know what life is. I think it's actually a really tragic thing. They need a wake-up call. They really do. Because, I mean, it's either going to, like, the thing about it is that suffering is inevitable. And the longer you put it off by, like, trying to, like, avoid it or protect yourself from it or whatever, without actually confronting it, the harder it's going to be. And, I mean, like, some people are going to get through it and they're going to be better for it in the long run. But I don't have a lot of hope for some of these women that live in these bubbles, because they're completely, like, living in a different reality. It's so safe for them, and they're so free that they don't know how bad it could get. I mean, people in Germany are figuring that out, but I mean, like, Western women, they think that it's the worst time to be alive right now. And it's like, are you kidding me? So.
Well, I mean, maybe it's the worst time because they feel like life is pointless. But you're constructing that by not allowing your actions to have meaning.
Yeah, I mean, whose job is it to make your life have a point?
Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe that's the fury they have towards men, is that men can do everything but make your life have a point. You have to do that for yourself. And actually, men can't do everything. But that's part of what confuses me about these women. It's like I would want to do, like when she says, "You made me do too much labor." I'm like, well, what kind of labor does he make you do? Because some kinds of labor are really worth doing. And when you take responsibility for them, you grow.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you have to take baths and cook yourself meals, and
Presumably,
you have
we're not talking
put
about
your clothes on, take out the trash. Maybe you live alone. You should know how to do those things. This is what I'm saying. Like, why is it that, for example, these female dating strategy types that will say that like having a man is a problem because the men are not doing things around the house, they're not sharing in the housework, or they're not doing their part of the housework. And it's like, yeah, but if you lived alone, you'd have to do those things too. So
Yeah.
like, what are you talking about? Like, do you live in your own shit, and you don't take any trash out, and you don't go to the bathroom, and you don't put on clothes, and you don't shower, you don't wash your hair, you just sit there and just like shit yourself and then starve to death because nobody fed you? Like what is your life?
It's return to the ultimate infancy, the ultimate state of utter infancy.
So yeah, don't get mad because like if you live alone, you have to take care of yourself and you have to take care of your home. If you live with someone, like you're married or something, then you have to, you do this as a team. That's what people do. It's very, I don't even like, why am I explaining this? I don't understand.
Okay, simple thing. Just ask yourself what you would have to do without your partner. There you go.
Yeah.
That's it. And in many cases, these women wouldn't even be able to pay their own bills without their partner. Well, yeah, I wonder how many are still living at home with their parents. But
right, there is no push to get them out. Like we judge men based on whether or not they live with their parents, and if they don't, like what does their situation look like? We don't do that to women at all. I remember I knew a guy who was my boss when I used to work in an art supply store, and I was the assistant manager. He was the store manager, and he had a wife, and they were very happy. And I've been to his place, and we would hang out and watch movies. And then one day his wife he caught her cheating on him, and they got a divorce. And they both had to move in with their parents for a while because they were sharing everything, and then they had to live on their own. And he was so ashamed of having to live with his parents for any period of time. And he was like, I can't even start dating again, because he was like in his 40s, right? I can't even conceive of like going back out there and dating again until my situation changes. And he was right to think that. But his ex-wife, no problem, found a guy right away. Lived at home with her parents. Why? Because men don't do that. They don't hold women to those standards. Maybe they should. Maybe that, if we want like something that it looks like equality, maybe men should start saying, do you live at home with your parents? Do you like live in your mom's basement like a loser? Maybe they should. Maybe that would be
here. This is actually a very unique time period because men would have held women to those standards in the past. Do you have a dowry in this?
Yeah.
Do you know how to keep a home? Do you have other skills in terms of being able to buy and sell? Like what will you bring to a household, to a potential household? Because I'm not just marrying a lump. That used to be a conversation people would have about building a relationship, building a marriage, building a family. They don't do that anymore. It's just basically incredibly one-sided. This is the first era in which
women I think the equivalent
have to answer the question.
Right.
What do you bring to the table? Okay.
Yeah,
continue.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say, the equivalent of this today is probably the single mom. And I mean, like that's sort of like the parallel. It's like essentially you have failed at life, or at least you're struggling, and your situation is a red flag. So a woman with kids from a previous man or whatever, irresponsible with her fertility, is, I guess, the closest thing to a guy who is a failure to launch, that's like stuck at home. And even then, that guy can change his situation, you know, if he like puts his mind to it. The woman might be in a worse situation because it's like those decisions should have been made before. But I think it's the closest thing. I mean, you know, and the thing is that men will wife up single moms. They'll do it. So it's not even then the men aren't like as dismissive. So anyway, do you want to listen to more
Yes.
of the music analysis? Okay.
Drum underneath, which makes it really tribal, but she is going lower and warmer rather than higher and bigger.
I thought was my savior, sure made me do a whole lot of labor. The callous skin on my hands is cracking. If our love ends, would that be a bad
Sometimes I feel like I just crush these women by looking at them. They're just like, where the hell did you come from? Some sort of other dimension in which people are made out of floss, like gossamer sugar floss and light. Like, ugh.
Yeah. I got a super chow.
Mm-hmm.
Great Indoors gives us $10 and says, if you would look at Halsey's music video, Girl is a Gun. Yes, the artist HBR reviewed previously, the one with Trent Reznor. Or Last Dinner Party's music video, Feminine Urge. They both feature women in 18th century dresses in mansions having some sort of a mental breakdown. Life is greater than art, is greater than life, etc. Or maybe he means to say life imitates art, imitates life. Also, if you go on the website allmusic.com, a website I frequently visited in the past, it now has an article up talking about the importance of queer representation. Last new music I thought was in 2011. Well, last new music I bought was in 2011. I'm mainly interested in reissues now, but then again, Biovinyl and Brick Wall remastering has put a dent in that as well. So that was a lot. Is he the one who sent this in?
No, he's not. That was Richard.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. The thing about the 18th century dresses thing, I think there's like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that women, they want, when they want to make a statement, but they also want not just like a political statement. It's not really political so much as just whining, but they want to make a whiny political statement, but they also want it to look good. So they have this, they're drawn to this Victorian stuff like big time, right? They love it, even though they think it's like the worst time to be alive. Well, I mean, after the modern days. So, and I think that the 18th century thing is, like I said, like it's just so easy if you think about it. I think women are kind of attached at the hip to culture, and whatever culture is doing, like television, movies, whatever, they will make it their personality. They'll like make that their identity. So, you know, if everyone's watching like, I don't know, whatever's on Netflix, there's probably like period movies and shows that take place in Victorian whatever with like black queens and whatnot. And then the women will watch that and they'll love the dresses because it's all about the costumes and stuff and the drama. And then they'll use that aesthetic to say something else that they think is really important, even though it's just lame. So I don't know that I would like put that much stock into this image of a woman in an 18th century dress having a mental breakdown, because I mean, she could just be wearing a t-shirt and jeans. She just thinks it's more, right. It's cooler. It's just like, oh, I like the aesthetic, right? So
but ultimately, her complaints is simply that he makes her do too much labor. You thought you were going to be saved from labor.
Yeah, in a Victorian dress, right?
Don't you want to do for yourself? Like, don't you want to feel like you're part of something, that you are like you're a partner in something that you're building? Like, why is laziness the ultimate being saved?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. I guess we'll listen to more.
Yes.
I love that syncopation on "If Our Love Ends, Would There Be a
I'm
Bad
not
Thing?"
really
That
interested in her opinion.
She's got such a good sense of
Syncopation is, what does it say? Rhythms that accent or emphasize the offbeats. Okay.
rhythm. She's got such a good sense of rhythm. That warmth is a really different way of doing it. Normally you rise up into the chorus, she's coming back down and being warmer and then layering those vocals, so you do have.
So yeah, I mean, most of this video is really just her analyzing the music itself from like a, just purely like mechanical perspective. Which, I mean, did Richard Bier watch this video?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I missed something. I could jump ahead to the next thing.
Well, maybe he'll give us a time code that he was in particular. I think it's just the analysis of the music itself.
I have all the lyrics right in front of me. I could just read
Okay,
them.
let me just ask something really quick. Does at any
All right.
point does she say, "Oh, these lyrics are awesome," and they really evoke the feeling of being a woman in whatever, whenever, however? Does she ever say that?
Oh, I watched it, but I thought that after this, it's just like there isn't much. She kind of gushes over the song and doesn't really make any political statements or anything about the lyrics. Just the technique that this singer is using, from what I remember. So,
Yeah, sure. Let's just go through the lyrics.
Real Raven is saying this is about music production. Why don't you react to the music directly? Well, I don't know that that's what we're supposed to be doing. I think we're talking about the lyrics.
Yeah, you realize that we'll get yeeted if we do that.
Yeah. I don't want to tear down music producers that are good at their job. I mean, like I said, she made a boneheaded comment about feminism, but like everybody who does usually makes a boneheaded comment about it. So
yeah, you have to sort of grade on a curve when it comes to feminism.
Yeah.
Most people aren't as deep into the swamp as us. They're not quite as hardened, certainly not as much as me. Like 20 years of seeing feminists marginalize male victims has made me very hardened, shall we say. But
I mean, people are saying that she's not like misandrous, but like I said, she does say this is an anthem for feminism and young women. And I'm not saying that means that she hates men, but that means that she does co-sign feminism, which is
co-signs on it.
At the end of the day, like, I mean, she hasn't obviously been, I don't think she's an activist per se.
And we haven't really called her out.
No, I haven't said anything about her. Mostly we've been talking about the lyrics.
We've basically just been responding to her video to respond to the song, so we don't have to directly respond to the song and get yeeted. See how we're being sneaky? All right, but we can read some lyrics and we'll respond directly to the lyrics just to speed this up.
Do you want me to read the lyrics? Okay, well, I got them right here. I also have the Reddit that we could look at as well. But
yes,
right,
definitely. We'll definitely do some Reddit. Yeah. And also, guys, if you do want to support us, I did just get the fundraiser up, so it's feedthebadger.com/support. And actually, Great Indoors, are you suggesting you would like us to go through a song? If so, then just send me.
I don't know about playing music videos.
Playing music videos is not something that we really can do.
Yeah, because that's what he said. Take a look.
People like this can get away with stuff. We get away with nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like, yeah, because we're being ridden by an entire alphabet soup worth of agencies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a look. The music itself, it's not my cup of tea. Like I said, it's all starting to blend together. I think the general quality of our culture is in decline. I'm not saying that no one can make anything good, but like the stuff that tends to the stuff that tends to rise to the top. I didn't watch the Grammys yet. What was it the other day was the Grammys. I didn't watch them because I don't watch award shows anymore. I haven't for many years. But I would not be surprised if all of the music that was like that won or was nominated was something that I couldn't get into. Because I haven't really heard anything new that's good in a while that's popular. So, but anyway, all right, lyrics. So here's the bridge. This came after the last set of lyrics I read. All day, every day, therapist, mother, maid. So now, okay, so this is more about labor stuff, right? Nymph, then a virgin, nurse, then a servant, just an appendage, live to attend him, so that he never lifts a finger, 24/7 baby machine, so he can live out his picket fence dreams. It's not an act of love. If you make her, you make me do too much labor. Wow, that was like a real mother load of crap right there. Let me put it on the screen so you guys can see it. So this is the bridge. Every day, therapist, mother, maid, nymph, then a virgin, nurse, and a servant, just an appendage, live to attend him so that he never lifts a finger, 24/7, baby machine, so he can live out his picket fence dreams. It's not an act of love if you make her. You make me do too much labor. Gish Gallop in a song, yeah. Alston, I can't hear you if you're talking. I still can't hear you if you're talking. Got it.
Hello?
Yep.
Okay, all right, I'm back. Well, let's discuss this. All right. So, what is acceptable labor?
Okay, all day, every day. Therapist, mother, maid.
Okay, what is acceptable labor? Bringing in half the income?
Let's just go one thing at a time. So what is meant by therapist? Do you mean that if he's struggling with something and he has problems at his job or at home or something else, that you don't think that you should help him with that? Like, what did people do before therapists existed when they were stressed out or dealing with something? What did men maybe depend on their wives to help them? Isn't that like what it means to be somebody's partner?
Well, they might go down to the pub and talk to their, friends, but you can't do that anymore because pubs were forced to be mixed sex. They could have gone to gentlemen's clubs. Nope. They could have. I mean, if you don't want to do this labor, then you have to allow men the space to do it.
I mean, do you love him or not? Like, if you love him, is it labor?
Obviously.
Like when you have children and you have babies who are completely helpless, are they labor? Like,
yeah.
what is it in women's brains that makes them see people who depend on them as some kind of obstacle?
I think the honest to God truth, Brian, is that they've been utterly and completely broken by a world that doesn't demand enough from them. And what I mean by demanding enough is I think that women have been broken by this socialization. And like, this is the first time in human history that women don't have their own job. They don't have their own skills that are recognized, like spinning and weaving. They don't have their own space where they can pursue a job, which, it's like their brains have dropped out of their head.
You make it sound like that they would do it if they knew they could do it. They don't want to do it.
No. I'm not saying that at this point in time. I'm not saying that's the truth. I'm saying that after generations of this, I think they've lost their way profoundly. And it's like if you took a kid and gave them absolutely no way of understanding the consequences of their actions or how they could take care of themselves, you would understand the damage that does, right? It's like you have to go out of your way to teach. Like, I have a dog. I have to go out of my way to teach the dog how to behave in certain circumstances. Still, I fail in some ways, but if you don't do that, if you don't teach them these things, they don't have the skills. Like, for example, if you punish a dog for barking, the dog gains control over his barking, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't actually punish people for certain behavior, they don't gain control over that behavior. Like, they become compulsive about that behavior. We have nothing in our society that punishes women when they play the victim. So they have completely dissolved into that. And it's just like, it's like watching a person's brain melt. And anything, any ask, they can't stand up to. Like they talk about liberation and empowerment, but they've become so fragile. They can't stand up to things that anything. They can't stand up to adversity or suffering. Somebody else's responsibility. Anything that they suffer, somebody else's responsibility. So they gain no growth. Like that quote that you have repeated several times. What's the quote? Suffering.
It's, let me look it up really quick. I can't remember right now. It'll just take me a second.
All right,
Romans, I think it's like
but
Romans 5,
it's actually got a lot of
suffering.
wisdom to it.
Well, yeah, because it's in the Bible. Okay, so rejoice in your sufferings, because suffering produces endurance. Endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And I think that's true. I mean, I've been through a lot, and I think that it's like, you know, after cancer and having to flee the city and everything else, and Lindsay sticking by me through the whole thing, which was absolutely humongous. I think that it's put me in that position of I don't get black pilled, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, but think about it. We've tried to remove all of women's labor, all of women's suffering, and they have developed nothing in the way of endurance, nothing in the way of character. And everything, like in a relationship, simply being asked to care about your partner, to listen to his troubles, has become too big of an ask. And they can't stand up to the least amount of expectation. And I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do to change that. But it's what do you have if you don't have character? Like, what do you have if you don't have your ability to overcome adversity? Like, what do you have left if you don't have that?
Yeah. I mean, the suffering is coming. There's like, and the longer you put it off, the worse it's going to be. But we'll see how you respond to it is going to determine, like, you know, whether or not you continue to suffer, or if you will actually like find some hope.
If they are complaining about this, they are in for a rude awakening.
Yeah,
worse than a virgin, exactly right. Worse than a servant. Like, well, first of all, right now in the U.S., according to the General Social Survey, men do about 4 to 5 hours more work a week than women. And that isn't even accounting for the fact that men and women judge work differently. A woman will, if a man and a woman are doing laundry, a woman will call it work from the moment she puts the laundry into the washing machine and turns it on, and then goes and reads a book and waits for it to stop. She will count that as labor. So she turns the washing machine on. She goes and reads a book, I don't know, with Fabio on the cover. And then when it chimes, she goes in, she puts it into the dryer, she turns it on, goes, reads the book, it chimes, she takes it out and she folds it, you know, like maybe 3 hours, right? All of that she will list as labor. Yeah. Every single minute of that will be 3 hours of labor that she did. A man will do exactly the same task, and he will estimate his labor, how long it took him to turn it on, put the stuff in, how long it took him to move it into the washer and then turn it on, and how long it took him to fold it. So 3 hours of labor that a woman will say that she did is like 25 for a man. So you got to imagine the General Social Survey has women saying, well, I was doing laundry for 3 hours on Sunday morning. And a man is like, well, I was doing laundry for 25 minutes Sunday morning. So how much does that actually distort the picture when it comes to men and women? We don't know. And these are questions that are not asked, that are not accommodated. But we do know that at the very least, men do 4 to 5 more hours a week. Okay. And if you're going to include mental labor, what about the it's not a nail mental labor that men are expected to do? Right?
Yeah.
What I mean, women will call
Well,
it mental
men are
labor.
never women's therapists. That doesn't happen.
What about, are you kidding? Like, are you okay? Here's an example of a one-sided relationship. My husband's mother comes over and lays out all of the drama, all of the stuff going on, and he doesn't say the same back. And this is what I see constantly. And this is not considered emotional labor because men don't see their relationships with women in the same way. They're not constantly sharpening their pencils and saying, well, I listened to you for approximately 13 and 16 seconds. That is 13 and 16 seconds more than you listen. You know, they don't do that. They just see something that needs fixing and they do it. You know, they see a woman with a nail in her head and her saying, well, it's not about the nail. And they have the emotional labor of biting their tongue and saying, well, how does the nail make you feel, dear? Right? And what about the emotional labor that men do during conflicts? Because conflicts, relationship conflicts, are actually more anxiety inducing for men. So they have to be able to manage their anxiety more than women do because they have more of it. Is that considered emotional labor? Like, well, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's do a real audit of who is doing what in relationships. I think that women would be quite surprised. They would be vastly shocked at what men are actually doing in their relationships. How little men lean on them for their emotions.
We don't even study that, though.
No, we don't.
We don't even look into
honestly
that.
study it. We just indulge in this idea that if women are asked anything, it's too much. And the funny thing is, I know why we do this, because this is what generates guilt in men, and guilt in men generates investment in the system, right? Women are guilt dispensers. They just vomit out guilt, and that's their purpose in life. And it's destroying their mental health. It's destroying their sense of self. It's destroying their sense of purpose in life.
Yep.
You know, and that's what I say when I say that it's like this kind of corruption. I don't think women are like this outside this kind of social corruption, Brian. I mean, after all, 100 years ago, our grandmothers people were like, oh, you should have the vote. And they were like, no. So obviously they had some kind of wisdom or understanding. Okay. And they did vote, like women predominantly voted conservative up to the point where this whole like propagandizing this entire propaganda, like they took pages out of Nazi Germany propaganda against Jews, segregationist propaganda against Black people, you know, the Ku Klux Klan propaganda against Black people. And I'm not going to get into whether or not it was accurate, okay? But they took all of those visual tropes. Feminists took all of those visual tropes and applied it to men, subjected women to generations of this kind of propaganda, and this is where we're at. I don't know why we did this to ourselves, but here we are. Maybe I do.
Well,
a little.
I think there's another, that's a whole other show. But all right, so the lyrics. All right. So nymph, then a virgin, nurse, then a servant, just an appendage, live to attend him, so that he never lifts a finger, because men don't work. 24/7 baby machine, so he can live out his picket fence dreams. It's not an act of love if you make her. You make me do too much labor. All day, every day, therapist, mother, it's the same thing. So that's the bridge.
How does he make you?
You know, his thrall. It's the thrall. We're back on that. I don't know. Doesn't say. Doesn't matter. Men do that. Men do this to women, and you're crazy for questioning it.
No, it seems
Chorus.
this is sort of critical for me. Like, I would like to know how this happens.
Oh, I know, but they have no interest in answering that question.
I would like a good and reasonable argument for why I should give up my sense of responsibility and consequences to my actions in my life. Because as far as I can, it's like I've got this little hoard of gold, and the feminists are like, you don't need that. I'm like, no, I think I do. I think you're going to have to give a better argument to me before I give up my resources to you, feminists. All right.
All right. So then there's they do the chorus again. So capillaries in my eyes are bursting all day, every day. Therapist, mother, maid. If our love died, would that be the worst thing? Nymph and a virgin, nurse and a servant. So it's basically the whole thing is about labor. And we've already read. So if I go to this Reddit, so let me share this with you guys. They're basically gonna this is the feminist interpretation of the song, which is kind of on the nose anyway. So it's not like there's a lot to it. From Sonic Witchcraft, or at least this is I'm sorry, I don't know how to read it, so because I avoid that place like the plague. But Our Witches versus Patriarchy asked the question, how do you guys feel about the song Labor by Paris Paloma? It's about the emotional labor women are forced and have been forced to do for hundreds of years. The music video is highly symbolic and the lyrics are fantastic. Here are some details I noticed. I know you're a smart man. I know you're a smart man, and weaponize the false incompetence, its dominance under a guise. Addressing how men will pretend they can't do something badly on purpose, won't do something until they're asked, etc.
You know what's really funny is like they recycle things that Hannah Wallen has pointed out about women years ago.
Mm-hmm.
She talked about, she had a blog post, I forget what she called it, but she talked about weaponized incompetence and how women engage in it in order to avoid certain activities like cleaning bathrooms, picking up
changing the tire on your car,
and all kinds of stuff like that, and painting and all kinds of tasks that are laborious. And now apparently only men do this. Actually, no. First of all, not only men do this. This isn't another situation where only men do it. It's like this constant drive to blame all negative human behavior on men. But regardless, it's just like, first of all, not only men do it. And second of all, does the false incompetence come from not wanting to do it, or having done it and then been picked at because you did it wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So you simply decide to pretend you can't do it any further. Because this is another thing that women do. They demand men do something and then they micromanage them.
Yes, I know about that. Well, it's like they want things done a certain way, and men may have their way of doing things. But instead of doing it themselves, they just insist men do it the way that they want them to do it. And that's when they become micromanagers, yes.
And also this emotional labor thing. Like before we start buying into who does more emotionally, God damn. Think of the emotional labor of having to be in a relationship with someone who talks about emotional labor and has
yeah,
accounting system.
Good goodness.
Emotional labor. Good freaking Lord. You know, I'm actually looking forward to women dating each other. How do you determine who has to do the emotional labor? I guess it's the doctor who makes more. She can't be expected her partner to do emotional labor because she brings in the money, so she should be the one who does all the emotional labor and most of the housework. It's something that I noticed in the past. Like, it was actually a movie that I watched that was about a horror, like a survival horror. There was zombies or something was going on, and there was these two women. They were sisters. And what ended up happening is the more sporty and tomboyish of the two girls ended up being put into the man's role. And so her sister, who was an ungrateful, resentful shitheel, would extort stuff out of her weaponizing her victimhood. That's another thing that women weaponize, victimhood, in order to make everything revolve around them.
For sure.
And she did this, and it's like when women have to contend with other women, what happens is one is sort of crushed into the male role of service to the other and abiding by. And this woman, the sister that was the damsel, I guess, to the woman's tomboy, she made everything about her, everything. And the big climax is the tomboy actually falls in love with this guy and potentially was going to leave with him, except her sister was raped and she had to stay, and her sister couldn't leave with them for some apparent reason. And it was this big moment that Well, actually, she just didn't want to or something, where her sister used her victimhood to extort the destruction of her other sister's life. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you got to look forward to, ladies. One of you will end up being the one who has to sacrifice, the one that's seen as slightly more masculine, the one that has to do the emotional labor, the one that has to pay the bills, the one that obviously should be underwriting everything because you're the doctor and she's a waitress or whatever. Good luck. And what's interesting is now that we have a generation of girls who are pursuing this, their mental health is in the toilet. Like, women's mental health has been in the toilet for a long time. But this generation of girls pursuing relationships with other women, in a generation, they you know that Bill Maher joke about lesbians. They're the old lesbians who've been, maybe it's not Bill Maher, but it was a joke. It was a stand-up comedian who talked about, go to a lesbian bar, and not the young lesbians who are just fresh, but the ones who've been in the scene for like 5 years.
Yeah.
They're chain smoking and shooting back vodka, and they're like, oh, they just look like they've been on the rigs for 10 years.
Yeah.
They're just haggard because they've had to deal with women.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have the emotional hormonal system of men. Because you guys are sort of made to deal with us.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
All right. So then they talk a bit about the lyrics, the other lyrics. All day, every day, therapist, mother, maid, nymph and a virgin, nurse and a servant, just an appendage, live to attend him so that he never lifts a finger. And the feminists under this writes, and I know they're feminists because this is witches versus patriarchy, refers to the unfair standards are held up to. Be crazy in bed, but a virgin. Be a mother/nurse first and a wife second. The last line means do all the work so he doesn't have to even move, but it also means do all the work so he doesn't hit you. Oh my God. Oh, go ahead.
This is just excuses for failure. It's like, I talked about this a while back. I don't know if it was with you or with the writers group, but oh no, it was with you. I talked about how you get these girl directors. I don't want to say female directors or woman directors. They're just girl directors. You get these girl directors, these woman child directors, and they preload their failures. Like, they march out and they'll say in front of their producers, yeah, well, if I lose money, it's because of the evil misogynist who didn't come to see my movie. And by the way, this movie isn't for men. It isn't for men, and it isn't for pick-me's, and it isn't for pick-me adjacents, and it isn't for straights or sisses or any of you guys. And and if you don't go, you're the bad ones. And it's like, and then her movie tanks, but she's preloaded failure. She's explained why she's going to fail. This is another thing I find really annoying with women. They seem to love this shit. The pre-failure self-talk. So this entire song is pre-failure of a relationship. So this is what she's saying, so that she doesn't have to take responsibility for the failure of a relationship. It's somebody else's fault. She doesn't have to take responsibility for abjectly failing to keep a relationship. It's really the man's fault for wanting her to have provide something at all. Like, how dare he made me do too much labor. That's why the relationship failed. He relied on me for anything. I mean, geez, like what man would do that? What misogynist would rely on a woman for anything? Like, how dare?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't you realize that women are completely unreliable and incapable? How dare you rely on them for anything? And then that's preloading the failure of the relationship. Or it's even preloading the failure of getting into a relationship in the first place and continuing a bunch of casual sexual encounters. And you're just like, oh, it's not because I'm a coward with poor social skills. I'm just thinking about, like, it's because
the other thing is there is they're referencing, so it's a feminist referencing or relating to another feminist who wrote a song that makes a claim about men, and she's using the claim that the one feminist makes about men to like co-sign her own claims about men. What I mean by that is this lyric, just an appendage, live to attend him so that he never lifts a finger. And then this person extrapolates from that. The last line means do all the work so he doesn't have to even move, but it also means do all the work so he doesn't hit you. So now we're presuming that the original person who wrote the lyrics, and they probably did mean this like as a double meaning, right? That not only because men, you know, we never do anything, we don't work, we don't do anything around the house, we're just lazy bums, and also violent to our spouses because reasons. And you also married that guy under like but the, you know, this is like there is an allegation, and I think it's very serious to imply this stuff when women can so easily just be like, oh, I know what you meant by that, you know. So
yeah, like, and of course here we all know that domestic violence is reciprocal. Like it's not always reciprocal, but women engage in as least as much as men. Okay, so this is and all of this, as I said, is preloading failure. And I think it just I think what we're seeing is the hoof prints of massive insecurity. Like these are really insecure women who are buying into narratives that preload failure, that excuse their cowardice as self-righteousness, that make them think that wanting desperately to find a man that's going to fix them is empowerment. Like, and that playing the victim is independence. It's like, this is such a ball of mental fuck. Where do you start? Where do you start? Okay,
the SSRI speak. I got a Rumble rant I should read really quick.
I'll be right back.
All right. NobaFan21 gives $1 and says, I think instead of waiting for women to get into relationships with other women, we can just wait for women to be each other's roommate. Women can never get enough drama in their lives, LOL. All right, thank you for that, NobaFan. It was Bill Burr, that's right, J.O. Bales. That was Bill Burr that told that joke about lesbians. I think that this is just like women poisoning the relationship of it's crabs in a bucket mentality, ultimately. Like, this is why I never go on Reddit, even for the men's rights Reddit, except for like maybe to look for stories, because everyone on there is like a nihilist pissant and they all drag each other down. And when it comes to victimhood, they love it, especially these feminist pages. Holy shit. I'm sorry, but I can't do it. Okay, then she talks about the music video, which I don't think we should watch, but she says the music video, as I said, is symbolic. At the beginning of the music video, you don't get to see the woman's face. She's invisible. In the middle of the video, she starts eating a pomegranate, a fruit representing fertility and marriage, but also representing death and feminine independence. That's kind of all over the place. Near the end of the song, when she sings about what would happen if she had a daughter, children start singing the chorus with her. If you guys haven't listened to this song, I highly recommend it. There are no lyrics that talk about a daughter, though. Just a 24/7 baby machine, which is like, like there are videos of women who are mothers who have children, and they talk about how much they regret having children. Like, when those kids see that video, they're going to be like, what the fuck, mom? But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of, they didn't, not only are they like just kind of pathetic, but they've also not only preloaded their failure, but they've also preloaded their child mommy issues with their kids. I don't know. So it's fucked up. Okay.
Even cats are labor.
Yeah. Lala Lovegood says, one of my fave songs since I heard it for the first time. It's perfect for angry moods, sad moods, and I've had male friends tell me to explain things in a way they've never considered. So 12 out of 10, those guys are called orbiters, and they just want to fuck you, lady. NobaFan21 gives us...
They've never considered the...
Yeah, I know. Whoa!
Lasted
women,
women victims? I never heard that.
Viewed as chattel.
Says chattel, dudes. Okay, Noble Fan gives another $1 and says, feminists date bad boys and ignore healthy men. Also, feminists, why don't men do all the housework after his full-time job? And why do men refuse to take us at our word? Dude, I don't know, man. We know. Disastrous Choice says, can we talk about how this song is a spell? Like, holy fuck, you can feel the power vibrated down to the mitochondrial DNA. Oh my god. It's a spell, guys.
A spell.
Yes. In the name of Satan. My favorite line. Yeah. My kiddo sent this to me, woke me the fuck up, and I'm eternally grateful. Oh no, you fucked your kid up too?
Ugh.
Yeah, so these are just
woke
like
woke you up to what? Like,
know.
isn't our society completely saturated in the idea that women are victims? Because again, that's women's function. That's our main function in our society, is to dispense guilt in order to get men to buy into the system. It's like, I don't know. I don't feel like that's my only role in life.
Yeah.
Just vomit forth guilt to make men feel like they're obligated.
So if you want to subject yourself to it and you're watching, the song is called Labor with a U by Paris Paloma. And it's actually, the song came out like 2 years ago or something. So it's not actually a new song. It came out in 2023. Yeah, March 23rd. So like 2 years ago. And the woman who made the video response made it a year ago. So what I'm guessing is that the song is old, but it went viral on TikTok later, because there's a lot of like songs on TikTok that become popularized through TikTok. And that's why Beth Roars made a video about it. But it's trash. And people who like it are also trash.
Well, it's pre-failure. Yeah. There needs to be things that women can fail at. And they need to be able to fail at life. And men need to stop saving them.
But Allison, everything is the fault of Adam's original sin in the garden when he blamed Eve. And we have to like bring back the divine patriarchy by restoring that and make everybody a special brand of Orthodox Christian that I don't even know how to define. And that's the only way we're going to save anybody. Sorry, I just wanted to get that out there. That's not referencing anything specific.
But divine patriarchy agrees with my every political belief.
Yeah, it just so happens. But it's very specific.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if we should allude to our own.
No, I just want to throw it out there in case you're wondering. That's the fix.
Do you ever rewatched Coast to Coast when it was Art Bell? He used to have this caller called JC. And
are you talking about Space Ghost, Coast to Coast?
No, that's.
I don't know what that is.
I
didn't watch either of those, but I was just curious.
It was based on a actual talk show called Coast to Coast that dealt with the paranormal. And the Coast used to have this guy call in called JC, who's a bit deranged. Like he was
JC?
Yeah, he believed that Satan was behind everything, and he's a bit of a Bible thumper.
Does JC stand for Jesus Christ? Because maybe he was onto something. Somebody ask him, what does the JC stand for?
But anyway, he and it feels like maybe we've got our own JC. He used to be hilarious when he'd call in, and he'd say to Art Bell, "Oh, you're full, you're a spawn of Satan or something." It was good. All right, I'm just saying that this is a little bit of an obscure reference, so I made another obscure reference to increase the obscurity.
That is pretty obscure. Apparently, that show you're talking about is still on.
Yeah, it is. It's just with a different. Yeah. Okay, I gotta satiate the cat.
All right. Maybe we should wrap it up. I don't think there's any more blood we can get out of this rock.
No,
I'm sorry. So. Pomegranate juice.
You gotta squeeze the cat. Squeeze it. And then she settles. Squeeze the cat. Squeeze the kitty. Gotta hold her like a football. Some people know this reference. Okay. All right. Yeah. There's nothing more that we can squeeze out of this rock.
Yeah.
It's done. It is
Well,
completely.
I hope this was a satisfying dive into. What it does tell me though is honestly, it's very easy for a woman to make a lot of money with music because all you got to do is sing about how hard it is for women. You don't have to be good at singing. You can auto tune it. You can have AI write the lyrics. And then just put it out on. I swear to God, you will make millions. You'll make a mint. Maybe I should do it. I can get an AI voice that sounds like a woman,
And then
then
you
get AI to write it, and then just put a beat to it and put it out there on TikTok, and maybe like put stock footage of a woman crying in her bathroom or something with like mascara running down her face, and I'm done. I'm gonna wait. I just wait for the checks to come.
What lyrics do we have? I'm a woman.
All you got to do is
powerful, and I'm a victim of everything imaginable.
Yep. Of all the things imaginable, exactly.
I'm a victim of this bubble bath. I'm a victim of my alcoholism. I'm a victim of toxoplasmosis.
Yep.
I'm a victim. I need a man to save me, but don't save me, 'cause I'm independent. Why won't you save me? Like, on and on and on and on. I'm not trying to be good.
That's all right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I think all right. So if you enjoy this show, you want to send us a message and a tip, or a tip and a message, you can go to feedthebadger.com/justtip and send us a few shekels and whatever whatever comes to mind. Maybe send us lyrics for the anthem of the terribly oppressed woman who is totally empowered by her oppression, right? Send us the anthem and we'll read it on air. And if you want to support the show, that was a big sigh, Brian.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry. I hadn't breathed in a bit, so.
If you want to support the show, feedthebadger.com/support. Thank you for Richard for sending this in. Very much appreciated. And maybe we'll do some more songs. Maybe not. I don't know. Seems like this is big sigh territory for Brian. Not big sky, big sigh. All right. Yeah. So back to you, Brian, for
all right.
What you want to do.
That's cool. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe. If you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And what just share the video, I guess. If you want to torture somebody, share the video. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we will talk to you guys in the next one.